The struggling but strong sweet spot is one of the most hidden but most common patterns in the fearful avoidant attachment style. I am Pauline and I am so happy you are here because this channel is all about the fearful avoidant attachment style. I've helped over 3,000 fearful avoidants heal in the past 7 years after having completely healed it myself. And the struggling but strong sweet spot is one of those patterns that is usually missed because it's so paradoxical, it's so confusing, which is a lot of the fearful avoidant attachment style, but that makes it so intriguing and beautiful also. So what does it mean? The struggling but strong sweet spot means that in a way, you feel safest when you are struggling in some way, but feel and are perceived as being strong throughout that. So struggling could be health, not having any energy, having health issues. It could be finances, not having enough money or having ups and downs, chaos in your life in whatever way, relationships, chaos in friendships. That is what I mean by struggling. You are not in a stable, reliable situation. You are not necessarily thriving. There is always some part of you, some part of your life that feels kind of chaotic and where you struggle. And then strong means that even though all of that is happening, you don't complain, you fix it. You're really strong in the way you handle that. So why do you do this? Why would you find yourself in that sweet spot almost constantly where you're struggling in some way, but you're also very strong in how you handle that? And why does this feel safe? So because as a fearful avoidant, you have a very high chance of having a fearful avoidant parent. And a fearful avoidant parent has a certain way of looking at the world, looking at how to raise a child and what is important and not, and they have their own triggers, obviously. They can be very well-meaning parents that really only want the best for their child, but they are just, carrying trauma and having certain beliefs and outlooks on the world that can create the fearful avoidant attachment style. So when you have a fearful avoidant parent, you will have experienced that they don't want to lose control. They really have a need to be the one that is in control, the one that kind of has the power. And that means that they don't want you to be powerful. Just imagine, just to kind of check if this was the case for you, go back to when you were younger and just imagine being powerful towards your fearful avoidant parents, saying no in a strong voice, just voicing your needs, voicing your boundaries. And just kind of see what happens in your body and in your memory. Would your parent lash out, get angry, get triggered, get dysregulated? If you feel like that would happen, that is a very strong possibility that you had a fearful avoidant parent and that they had a really hard time with you being powerful. They didn't want you to be powerful. Because being strong, we'll get to that in a minute, but being strong is something completely different than being powerful. There is such a difference between that. I will get back to that. But one of the reasons why you do this is because you are used to a parent that didn't want to lose control, and because of that, it was better that you were not powerful because that would not threaten them or trigger them. Being powerful would, and so you're not. And they feel, another reason is that they feel good and safe when they can help and fix, because that keeps them in control. Again, the control thing. When you're the one that saves somebody or that fixes somebody in the power dynamic, you're above that other person. In no way am I saying that person is better than the other person, but when you just look at the power dynamic, the one helping or fixing in a way has the control or is more powerful than the other. And of course, when you're a child, you already have that power dynamic where the parent is more powerful because they have access to resources that you don't have. But for a fearful avoidant parent, this feels safe because when they can help you or fix something in your life, they feel needed, they feel in control, and they feel powerful in a way. They would probably never say it like that. They would never acknowledge it. They are probably not even conscious of it. But usually in a fearful avoidant parent, this dynamic is there. And then fearful avoidance can have a lot of empathy and warmth when you're struggling. And this is or can absolutely be sincere. They absolutely sincerely have empathy and don't want to see you struggle. But what happens when a fearful avoidant parent is that warm and is that empathetic in moments that you're struggling, whereas in so many other different moments, you never really know what you're going to get with a fearful avoidant parent. They could get angry, they could be very kind, they can go all over the place, which is why it's so confusing. But when you're struggling and in a reliably consistent way you're getting that empathy and you're getting that warmth from your parent, it makes so much sense that you would kind of get addicted to that. And when you get that when you're struggling, guess what you're gonna do? Struggle. That's the price you pay as a child to have that empathy and warmth, but also to have that kind of reliability and consistency. I can almost vividly remember, also because now I see the dynamic and I see the pattern, and it's easy to see now looking back, that when I was a child, I just wanted that safety and that reliability and that predictability. My dad could get angry out of nowhere. He could lash out of nowhere. And I craved that predictability. And when I was struggling, he was there for me. He was empathetic. He was warm towards me. And that was sincere. I truly believe that was sincere. And so a part of me, my fear brain, that part of you that's trying to protect you, was saying, oh, so this works. When I'm struggling, that's when I have the empathy. And also, I didn't feel like I had to perform as much. When I was struggling, he would kind of just let me be, allow me to be, and not expect too much of me. The expectations were lower, and I didn't have to justify too much about what I was doing. If I was tired, if I had a health issue, if I was struggling in some way, and I would say that to him, he would shift into the role of being empathetic and warm and being a caretaker. And so it makes so much sense that when you have a fearful avoidant parent that does that, it feels so much safer to struggle, right? So that's the struggling part. But then why strong? Why strong throughout that? Why wouldn't you then be struggling all the time and be in kind of like a almost powerless position all the time? Because fearful avoidant parents also have a trigger, sometimes very intense, when it comes to being weak. You're not allowed to be weak. This has a lot to do with vulnerability and just different factors play into this. But fearful avoidants usually are triggered by feeling weak, but also seeing weakness in others or thinking that they're weak. And this is not a conscious choice. It's not done to be mean. That is just a survival mechanism. So when being weak is not allowed, what's left? The struggling but strong sweet spot. You're struggling with something, but you're very strong in how you handle that. And so you get the empathy and the warmth, but you also get the compliments or the admiration for how you handle it. Does this ring a bell? I'm so curious, because this is a very common pattern in the fearful avoidant attachment style. I would love to know whether you recognize it. We're not done though. We're gonna go on, because this leads to you not allowing yourself to be supported. it leads to some things that are probably really not serving you anymore. This is why this topic is so important and why I'm so happy you're here and watching this. So you are not allowing yourself to be supported, because just imagine that you would be supported, then you might struggle less, but also you wouldn't be seen as strong anymore because you're not doing it yourself. And I'm not just meaning supported by other people. Also, you're not allowing yourself to be supported by your health and or energy or by money. So you may be struggling with exhaustion and fatigue and being very strong through that, kind of struggling through that while being so exhausted. Whereas there is a reality where you are completely supported by your health, by your body. And it might be that you're struggling financially in whatever way that may be, where there is a reality where you are fully supported by money. So it's not just being supported by other people. You probably won't allow yourself to be supported in different areas, just to kind of make sure that you stay in that struggling but strong sweet spot. And that is also because it doesn't feel right to not be proving yourself the whole time. So when you're in that struggling but strong sweet spot, you're constantly proving that you can do this, that you're strong, that you'll be able to handle this, while also receiving the empathy and the warmth. But that also means that it can be very hard to say goodbye to this dynamic, because that means that you don't have to prove anymore. And proving can lead to a sort of high when you get that approval, or when you get that admiration from somebody saying, oh, that you're handling this so well, you're so strong. That kind of like mends the wound a little bit, it feels like, that was there when you were younger. But in the end, it doesn't heal it at all. It's more like a high that you get temporarily. And what it also leads to, what you might not be aware of, what I wasn't aware of when I was going through this, is that you're feeling alone. When you're in the struggling but strong sweet spot, you feel alone. Yes, you may get empathy. Yes, you may get warmth from other people. But you also continuously feel like you have to do this alone. You have to do life alone, because it could be that your parent actually made you feel like you had to prove that you're worthy. You had to prove that you were deserving. And when you got that empathy and warmth, you still had to kind of do things right, because if you went too much into the struggling part, then they would be triggered by you being weak. When you would move into the strong part too much, as to where it would get to being powerful, they would get triggered in the fear of losing control. And so it always comes with this fear that you're gonna be dropped, that whenever you get kind of support, that it will be gone in an instant when you're not doing it right. And so what you're feeling is that you're alone, that you have to do this alone, and that you have to do life alone, and that you constantly have to prove that you're not weak, and also constantly have to not be powerful, because that will be triggering. And here is where I come back to the powerful versus strong. So powerful means that you believe that you have the power to change things, change the way you feel, change your external factors, and create a life that is safe for you. You have that power. When you're not allowed to feel powerful, all that's left is feeling strong. But strong doesn't imply that you believe that you can change your external factors or your internal world. So you can be strong all day, every day, and never get out of that place. never really stand up for yourself, never really feeling or voicing your needs because you don't feel like that is going to be heard anyway. And so you just kind of keep going, you hustle through, even when your body is screaming for rest, even when you're tired, even when you can't go on, you feel like you have to be strong. And your fear brain kind of wears that as a badge of honor. It's not even really you, but your fear brain is like, look at me, am I not doing this so well? I'm struggling, but I'm also very strong. Please validate me, and please let me know that I'm safe, because that's essentially what you're looking for. This is not a bad thing. This is such a logical place to be in. It was pretty much the only safe place to be in. But there is a big difference between being powerful and being strong. And so what I want for you is that you move from being from being strong but not supported and not feeling taken care of and feeling alone, to being powerful, which means you have everything in you and you know it to change your life, but also allow yourself to be supported and be taken care of so you don't feel so alone, because you are so worthy and deserving of support and of being taken care of. And if you haven't experienced that when you were younger, when you had to be in that struggling but strong sweet spot, you are feeling more alone and more anxious than you are aware of right now. Because when you believe that you have to be struggling and you can't be powerful, but you have to be strong, there's constant anxiety because you keep yourself in that place of struggle. So there's never this soft bedding, this embrace, I got you, you'll be okay. Your parent didn't provide that when you were younger. That had nothing to do with you. That had everything to do with generational patterns. You were just unlucky that you were the one that experienced that. And so it is time to move out of that and allow yourself to be supported, allow yourself to thrive, and make that feel so safe that it becomes boring, that it just becomes a given. Of course I'm supported. Of course I'm not being dropped just because I'm leaning a little bit too much one way or another. You are worthy of being supported unconditionally, without conditions. You are worthy of being taken care of without conditions. And that could also mean you taking care of yourself, because when I look back to when I was still in this space, I would not allow myself to take care of myself. I would not allow myself to take care of my health to the point that it would actually support me. I did not allow myself to create financial buffers to the point that it would actually make me feel safe. I kept myself in that struggling sweet spot, in that struggling but strong sweet spot. And so that also means supporting yourself and being taken care of by yourself. That's what you deserve. And this was one of the most important things that I needed to heal in order to be able to truly relax. Unless you've healed this, you're probably not going to be able to fully relax. And it is very, very, very possible to heal this. It is just a pattern, it is just a dynamic, and this also has very specific roots, very specific to the fearful avoidant attachment style. And that is what we do in Healed and Happy, going through those very specific roots to heal them so that you get to a place of being happy and supported. Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style.